Good evening, Grinders. Welcome to Sunday Showdown Live. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender HD, aka whatever you want. Not on top of you at the GBP leaderboards today, unless for some odd reason Amari Cooper has like another 25 points in 9 minutes. Maybe that could happen. It could, I guess. Join with me on Sunday with Keith Eister. Eyes 819 DFS, whatever. He doesn't read your tweets. It doesn't matter. You could follow him on Twitter if you want. Sunday Showdown. It seems like we have maybe a decent game, maybe a pretty decent game. Chiefs Raiders. It's a healthy total, 52 total. Chiefs favored by 7.5. And as always, start the show with the inactives news.
Yeah, we've got the Chiefs coming, looking for a little bit of revenge. They got beat earlier in the year, so I think they're going to come out here pretty hot. Looks like Sammy Watkins inactive as expected. Anyone on the Raiders that surprised you?
Jalen Richard is inactive, right. But I mean, for the most part, I think that's all that matters for this slate. I mean, so obviously some defensive players. They're human beings. We could say that they matter at some point, but not for DFS scoring, I guess. But what's that going to do? I mean, obviously they haven't had Watkins for a couple of games, so it's not going to necessarily change all that much of what we've seen. With Richard out, I mean, they have Devontae Booker backing up Jacobs, but I mean they'll only have 2 running backs active, and they'll rotate them through. And typically Jalen Richard gets like the third down work, the pass catching back type of work. But I mean, they throw to Jacobs out of the backfield. They throw to Devontae Booker out of the backfield. I don't think it's going to necessarily change all that much. On the Chiefs side, obviously they have the most expensive players: Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey. Is there a lineup you can make with all these guys?
No, not unless you want to do something weird in the captain and play them all in the flex. So basically, you're going to have to pick your favorite from Hill and Kelsey to play in the captain. At least that's what I'm trying to do. And then fill in with the right players around them in the flex.
So, I mean, obviously on this type of game script, with the Chiefs being a 7.5 point favorite, like I'm assuming you're building lineups as if the Chiefs are winning, right?
Yeah, I am. So that's what I said. I'm going to run probably a pretty even split of Hill and Kelsey in the captain, maybe mix in a little bit of Mahomes. I don't like to do that as much because everybody tries to do that. But if you get Hill or Kelsey right in the captain, according to Slate IQ, we've got the leverage on the 2-4 build for the winner. So I think you plug Mahomes into the flex and then try to fit the right Raiders.
Well, I mean, you would have to assume that the captain you're playing is probably a Chief. I mean, it's weird to say that their offense is probably more condensed than the Raiders. Because on the Raiders side, you got Jacobs at 9,600 on DraftKings. You got Waller, who's kind of the de facto top option. You got Aguilar, you got Ruggs. Ruggs typically doesn't get many targets, but is typically, a high A-dot targets. You got Renfro that'll rotate in. You'll have Brian Edwards back, rotating in, maybe Zay Jones for a couple of snaps, maybe some red zone targets if you want to try for that. The problem with the Raiders is that they tend to spread the ball around so much that it's hard. Like, they're priced. So if you were to play a Raiders captain, such as like a Ruggs or an Aguilar or a Waller, you could probably fit an extra expensive Chief in. But is the ceiling of that lineup worth doing? Versus, I mean, I think that may be good for like a median lineup, for like if you're playing a cash lineup. But can you make, because I always get down to Keith, you're the one that looks for the best lineups and hopefully they're not duplicated. I'm the ones looking for the ones that aren't duplicated and hopefully it comes in. Can you make a Hill in the captain or Kelsey in the captain Mahomes lineup that is unique enough?
I think if you have to fade Kelsey when you do that just because of salary. So then you're hoping that Kelsey doesn't go off or even catch one touchdown if Tyreek gets there as the captain. To get different, I think I would play someone what's the Raider? Booker. I think I would put Booker in a lineup like that where you're playing for a Raiders coming from behind script, and you've got Booker catching passes in favor of Jacobs.
Right. I think on this slate, the running backs are actually going to be like the less popular choices. Like if you
Yeah,
wanted in this game to play CEH or Jacobs or Booker or Le'Veon Bell, or like play multiple of them. Like you're playing two. If you're going to play running backs from both teams, I think that will be a unique build. Obviously, it's a more risky build. So because if you were to build like that, you could build without playing a quarterback. Because we have the quarterbacks on the slate. We have Mahomes is going to be the highest owned player based on our projected ownership. Carr is 9,800. I mean, Mahomes is 13,400. Carr is
yeah.
9,800. He's much less owned. We have him in projected at 35% ownership. Now, I'm not a big fan of using quarterback and the captain for large field GPPs because it tends to be overowned. Uh, do you think there's a lineup where you're not using Mahomes? Like, would you use a lineup with Tyreek Hill and the captain without Mahomes? Because he could get jet sweep touchdowns, things like that. I know that's not the correlative move to make, but I'm just looking at the sense of if I'm not going to play Mahomes in the flex, should I just be playing CEH as the captain? Should I play for several rushing touchdowns? Even though we've seen that when they get inside the 10, the Chiefs tend to pass the ball in the end zone more than run it inside the
Yeah.
5. But that's what most people are thinking. So like CEH is going to be, we have him projected 36% owned, which is not like nothing owned. Or is it the type of thing, hey, maybe you put the Chiefs defense in the captain spot? It could be one of those slates where the Chiefs get a pick six on Carr. Maybe they're not the highest scorer, but they're 4,800. So in the captain spot, you could put a lineup like Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey together.
Yeah, I think my favorite cheap captain would be Le'Veon Bell, honestly, and just hope that he runs one in or catches a short screen pass and runs it into the end zone. Um, I mean, if you're trying to build a four Chiefs stack, that's kind of what you have to do if you want Hill and Kelsey together in that stack. So I would just hope for the Le'Veon Bell touchdown at really cheap captain, and then hope that Hill and Kelsey just get there on receptions.
I mean, obviously, if you want to get off the beaten path, you build a lineup that assumes a Raiders win. In a Raiders win lineup, I mean, wouldn't Waller or Jacobs be more likely to be the captain? I mean, or you could take a shot and go like two Bigs Ruggs catches. We've seen a Ruggs game where he gets three catches for 120 yards and a touchdown, and at 5K, he's the winning captain. The problem is that if you're going to play those captains, you probably are going to play Carr, and then you play Mahomes, and then you can't play Hill or Kelsey. And then you just go, and then now you're like, well, how does Mahomes get there without like the primary guys that he's going to throw to? So, like, is it the type of thing? I mean, yeah, Demarcus Robinson's on the field a lot. Obviously, Mecole Hardman could break a big play. Well, what are your how are you utilizing like the Chiefs? We'll get into the Raiders in a second because the Raiders are the worst ones to figure out. But how about the subsidiary pieces of the Chiefs? Because you have Robinson, you have Hardman, and then you have a bunch of like crappy. Then you have a Dollar and a Dream, Byron Pringle, Dion Yelder type of, Darwin Thompson coming in, Darrell Williams. Is Darren Williams active?
I did not. I didn't see that.
Does it matter? Does it matter if he's
It
active?
doesn't matter to me.
Right. It
No.
doesn't matter to you if he's active, but that's what I'm talking about. And Nick Keiser, those type of plays.
Yeah.
Like I take a look at the bottom of this player pool and I go, I don't know how any of them get double digit points. And you're pretty much going to need double digit points on this type of slate with this total to just be in the optimal lineup.
Yeah. My favorite way to do it is to play Mahomes and one of Hill or Kelsey, and then rotate Hardman and Robinson in there. So those four kind of skill players, Hill, Kelsey, Robinson, and Hardman, are the four I'm going to rotate through with Mahomes.
Okay, we got people in the chat.
And
You could always post your questions in the chat if you'd like. We talk to you. Hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up. Hit the notification bell. Hit the subscribe button. Just poke us in the heads. You can. Feel free to poke around all you want on YouTube. So with the Raiders though, Like, how the hell do you figure out the Raiders? Like, outside of Waller. But, I mean, we've even seen games where Waller only gets 5 targets. Aguilar's there. They rotate people in. Like, Renfro will get 3 targets, but maybe he only sees the field 40% of the time. Brian Edwards, I mean, he's back. Maybe he gets some snaps. You always have Jason Witten as the troll man, with the second tight end type of stuff. Foster Moreau by the goal line. Alec Ingold out of the backfield as a fullback or something. Like, how do you make sense of the Raiders? Like, outside of probably Waller, and I understand Jacobs, but he's 9,600, so he may not fit into your builds. Like, who you kind of planting your flag more so on the Raiders side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean the upside of Ruggs is the one that kind of makes sense to me. I like the price point. He can get there in one play basically. So Ruggs is the one I'm kind of leaning to. I don't mind mixing in Renfro as he's cheap too, but like you said, he might only be on the field 40% of the time. But he could get there for sure.
And then we obviously have to talk about the kickers and the defenses. I think on this type of slate, the kickers and the defenses are going to be less owned. I mean, like the Raiders kicker, it's coming to Carlson's like 4% owned, but you typically not taking a kicker on the losing side, right? Because what ends up happening is that in the late third and the fourth quarter, they're down by more than a touchdown. They ain't kicking the ball at the 36-yard line. They ain't going for a 40-yard, 50-yard field goal. They're going for it on 4th and 4. So, as I always say with the kickers and the defenses, since they have a limited path to a ceiling, you have to look at the players underneath them and go, what are the chances that one or two of the players underneath them can outscore a defense or a kicker? And with the Chiefs, the Chiefs one makes it harder because they're 4,800. So you got Robinson, you got Renfro, you got Butker, you got Hardman, you got Booker, Raiders defense, Bell, Edwards. You got a lot of people. Like the Raiders defense, at least, like you're skipping out on some of these guys. You just got Booker, Bell, Edwards, Jones, Witten, and the crappy players underneath them. I'm not saying that the Raiders like are a good play or anything, but like I think I'm more inclined like this. It's weird to say because the Chiefs are at 4,800 and Butker's at 4,000. In between them is Robinson and Renfro. Like I almost feel like I'd rather play Harrison Butker than the Chiefs defense, only due to the fact that I don't have to necessarily worry as much about beating Robinson or Renfro.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's correct. And with Bell and Booker being down there, I'm going to have probably one of them in almost every lineup. So that's going to leave me only needing one kicker defense, and then leaning to Bell or Booker for the other cheap spot.
Right, I mean, what is your? I mean, this is a football take type of thing, but like, what is your take on like how the Chiefs and the Raiders are gonna utilize Bell and Booker? Because I mean, we've seen Bell get 35+% of the work, and we've seen Booker come in and and get I mean get enough. I know in the last game like they were up by so much, so like just left Booker in, but do you see this? They're the featured running backs because they're so much cheaper. Like Booker and Bell are so much cheaper than Jacobs and Ceh. That if you think that the split is going to be anything more than 35%, meaning that the main backs are 65% only, like it makes more sense to play the second running backs.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I'm almost fading CEH entirely. He was dealing with an injury all week. He was cleared to play just yesterday or the day before, I think. So I'm not terribly worried about his health, but the fact that Bell has been there an additional week now, and he's so much cheaper, I'm definitely playing more Bell than CEH. And then on the Raiders side, the game script that I prefer is the Raiders trailing, and I don't think that they're going to utilize Jacobs in a comeback role near as much as they will Booker. So I'm there's the fact that they're both cheaper. The ownership is lower. I'm leaning to the cheaper guys over the more expensive lead backs.
Right, and the ownership follows that. I mean, we have Bell projected as 30% owned, Booker at 18% owned. So like, I mean, it's not like it's sneaky. I mean, that's the only you have to play kind of one of these ranged guys somewhere between the kickers and Le'Veon Bell. I mean, some people may
Yep.
try for $400 Darrell Williams. I mean, you can. I mean, the third guy. I mean, you could. But that's why I'm just so worried on the slate about like duplicated lineups because once you start eliminating some of these really cheap guys, like you get into situations where I don't know. There's if you're less than 15 uniques or I don't mind 15. I
Yeah.
just don't want 150. So
Right.
in Slate IQ, obviously, if you're a premium member, rotogrinders.com/premium, you can click on the link in the YouTube video. You get $5 off your first month by clicking on the link. You get NFL, NBA. NBA is coming back a month from now. You'll get all the NBA stuff. It's already included. MLB when it comes back. You'll get the golf all the time. Core 4 subscription. You get Lineup HQ. You could use it all you want, all the projections, and build your lineups with that. But part of premium is Eric Beinfor writes Showdown Slate IQ for all the showdown slates, the island ones, right? Sunday night football, Monday night football, Thursday night football, and basically it's a data analysis of game archetypes. So 25 based on the past. We take a look. We have results DB, so we have all the DraftKings data, and we go. Let's take a look at 25 games that fit this archetype, and then analyze then you run a simulation of all the lineups. You're doing the contest over and over and over and over and over again, and then see what shows up in the top 0.1% of lineups versus what most people would roster. So you could see the leverage, see what's the high probability and lower ownership. So we see. I could even bring it up on the screen just to give people a peek of what it looks like. So we see on this slate that based on that analysis, the only positive leverage construction is 2-4, which means 2 players from the winner and 4 players from the loser. Now, most people are going to want to jam in Chiefs,
Yeah.
right? So like this, if we were to assume that for loser, like if you set it up for a Raiders win, like then you play 4 Chiefs. But if you don't set it up for if the Chiefs win, like a 2-4, it almost seems counterintuitive, right? It almost
Yeah.
seems like how am I playing 2 Chiefs and 4 like what 4 Raiders am I playing? But I think it makes a little bit of sense if you believe that all the Chiefs' production goes through one primary player. So Mahomes could spread the ball around. Like Mahomes could have 330 yards and 3 touchdowns, but all 3 touchdowns could go to Tyreek Hill. All 3
Yeah.
touchdowns could go to Kelsey. Yeah, Robinson gets some yards and Hardman gets some yards. They all get some yards, but the captain is the one guy that goes off. And we even see in the captain usage on Slate IQ, wide receiver 1 is like way above everything else. Right? You have quarterback 1 highest probability, running back 1 20% probability, wide receiver 1 17% probability, so it's close enough. But 63% in this analysis showed to be in the top 0.1% of lineups, as well as RB2. And didn't we just talk about RB2s, right? Booker and Bell. So it kind of
Yep.
sets up for this game archetype. So Keith, based on Slate IQ, do you have the balls? I'm not going to read a Manscaped ad, by the way. Anytime I mention balls, people expect me to do a Manscaped read, but I'm not. Do you have the balls to run 2-man Chiefs for Raiders? And if you run the 4 Raiders, wouldn't that almost have to be Carr and like Carr, Booker,
Carr,
Waller, Ruggs, like something like that?
Yep.
I don't
Yep,
even know.
exactly.
I'm not even sure you could fit that in.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but yeah, I think the one I would do with that would be Hill or Kelsey in the captain, Mahomes in the flex, and then your 4 Raiders, and you just name the 4. I'm not sure if that exact lineup fits, but
Well, I'll look. I put it on the screen right now. Let's see. I put it in lineup HQ. Let's see if we could do it because I make my lineups after the show because we have time. We're going to 7:45 Eastern, so I'll have time to make my lineups. So I haven't even checked yet. So okay, we got 50. Okay, we put in Carr there. 30. Oh, this is gonna be weird. I'm not even sure you could do it with Tyreek and with Carr 9,800, and I guess you're gonna play. I mean, you would have to play Booker Booker, Renfro. Oh, let's try Ruggs. Ruggs, 3,100. Yeah, a Raiders defense. I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's just tough. Let's put Kelsey. Well, then you're not. If you put Kelsey, that's TE1. That's not wide receiver one. So
Right.
so I don't even know what slate I guess one of the cheap Raiders
Yeah. Or skip
or skip Carr.
skip
Like you're not
Carr.
playing Carr. Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a weird way to do it because you would think like why
Well,
am I
you're assuming that he's not throwing touchdowns. He's just throwing tons of volume. So all the pass catchers get there on receptions.
right.
That's the way you'd have to
Okay,
build it.
so let's try that. Okay, Hill and the captain, Mahomes and the flex. Then I'm gonna play Waller, tight end. Oh yeah, that makes much more sense. And I have 5,900. Yeah, I could play, and you could put Aguilar in there instead. Yeah, yeah. I guess that's the way it would set up where it wouldn't be Carr and Carr. And like as long as each of the Raiders, like if you play three Raiders, if each of them get a touchdown, and Booker gets it on the ground, like Carr with his two touchdowns may not be optimal for 9,800 because it's just you're over the salary cap. I mean, I guess it's doable, but I mean, obviously it's more doable with Carr if you're using like Jason Witten, right? If you're using Zay Jones, Brian Edwards, like the guys that the one like right. If we play Brian Edwards there instead, yeah, of course, but of course he may only see the field like for 12 snaps or something. So that's not the highest of probability. I just want to go through this to see, right? Because you could read
Yeah.
Slate IQ and go, how does that work, right? But like I said, hey, maybe it's a lineup with jet sweep touchdowns from Hill, where Hill's in the captain and Mahomes doesn't appear in the flex. I admit that's much less likely. Like that's I for this
Yeah.
total game, it would have to be an under. Like if the game ended up being like 24-7, and Hill has like one rushing touchdown and one passing touchdown, then a 13.4K Mahomes could end up not being in the winning GPP lineup.
Yeah. The other one that you mentioned that has a slight bit of leverage, obviously a much lower probability of happening, but would be the Le'Veon Bell and the captain that I talked about. And then you can pretty much throw in whichever four Raiders you want.
Well, I mean, you
If
could throw in anyone
if-
you want at that point. I mean, the captain
yeah.
price is 2,100. I mean, like it. I mean, the thing with those builds is that it's very hard to build like uniquely without just like I'm going to leave 6,000 on the table and play Robinson over Hill, and like that's the only like, and even that you do that and there's still 8 lineups that look like that.
Yeah. And I have a really hard time believing the Chiefs win with Le'Veon Bell as a captain and who you're going to play with him, Mahomes in the flex. And those are the only two Chiefs that are,
Oh, that
yeah.
could do. Mahomes spreads the ball around, like Hill.
And Bell gets 2
Right.
touchdowns.
Well, like
One, one,
let's say Hill and Kelsey both have lines that are like 5 for 70 with nothing. Well, I mean, yeah, but then how does
no
how does
touchdown.
Mahomes get there? I mean, I guess
You'd have to throw one to Bell.
or maybe
And
Mahomes rushes it in.
yeah,
It could happen because I
it
mean,
could.
if he's spreading the ball around and still getting 300 yards, how does Hill and Kelsey not have like a lot of yards? Right? I mean, how does that work? Byron Pringle, 88-yard touchdown. I guess. I mean, maybe that could happen. Right? Someone in chat says he's playing Byron Pringle, so go have fun. A. Olson and a bunch of numbers said the defenses are not in play. That's what everyone thinks until someone wins with a DST, right?
Right. Yeah. A lot of people think that points are just detrimental to being able to play the defenses, and that's not the case. If you think the Chiefs are going to lead the whole game, and the Raiders are going to be throwing it the entire second half, that makes the Chiefs a great play because they're going to have a ton of chances for sacks and interceptions.
And David and Derek Carr, he's
Yeah.
pretty familiar with sacks and interceptions.
Yeah.
And this Chiefs defense isn't bad. This is a good defense.
Yeah.
But I mean, with this total, like the Raiders have a 24 implied total. I mean, we saw. Hey, they won the last game, right?
Right.
So like, don't put it past anyone that if the Raiders come out and win this game, that's not shocking or anything. Do you think in a Raiders win? Okay, let's say we're gonna do the 2-4 with the Raiders winning. Would it make sense that the captain would be Jacobs?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, obviously, according to Slate IQ, wide receiver one would be. I guess you could say Waller. He's technically the wide receiver one, but Aguilar. It almost feels like if a Raiders win, is a Jacobs 24 for 140 yards and 3 touchdown type of game.
Yeah.
But you're not going
I
to do
mean,
that.
no, not more than 2 or 3 times. I
Okay.
mean,
Okay. So
just just
you
to
get a
just to hope.
sprinkle. You get a
Yeah,
little sprinkle on. Okay. You got a couple of lineups like that, right?
yeah. I mean, I don't generally play the volume on Sundays when we're on the show that I do on the other slates, but yeah, I'll have at least one Jacobs captain lineup just in case.
Yeah. Someone an MD in YouTube chat says the defenses are only not in play when the ownership on defenses is 25+%, and I kind of agree with that. I mean,
Yeah, I
like
like
when
that.
when it's one of those low scoring, everyone thinks it's going to be a low scoring game. Like I remember, it didn't like the Patriots defense against the Jets was like 7,400, and they were 35% owned. Like I don't
Yeah.
play a $7,400 defense, even if it doesn't matter at that point. I mean, just they tend to not score enough points for that price. But at 35% ownership, we have the Chiefs defense currently projected for 19% owned, the Raiders at 9% owned. That I have no problem, especially with the Raiders being 2,400. Like
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
the defenses are definitely in play, and the kickers are in play. I mean, Carlson is good, is 4% projected owned.
Yeah, I mean, the underdog kickers always tend to come in under owned for some reason. I mean, there's a pretty good chance that he's going to get 2 field goals at least, and he might get more than that. So,
Yeah, but
yeah,
imagine a low scoring game. Like picture a low scoring game that maybe the Chiefs win at the end, but it's a field goal. It's a game. All the drives stall out at the 20, right? So it's like a game where the only 3 touchdown total get scored, but a whole time, but not much punting. So you have Butker sitting there with four field goals and Carlson with 4 field goals, and you find the 3 touchdowns and you win. Like that is an
yep,
outcome. Obviously it's a lower probability outcome. But if we're playing these large field contests on DraftKings, build your lineups for lower probability outcomes than what you. I mean, if you're going to build a chalk lineup, just play double ups.
yep.
So anything else that stands out on the slate? I mean, we kind of covered the cheaper guys. Is there a low? I mean, it's kind of hard to say low owned because like is anyone that low owned? Is there someone that's like based on our projected ownership under 15% that like that stands out? I mean, like I typically I could find some schmuck that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a shot on this guy, and it's kind of hard.
Yeah, that Renfro was the one that stuck out to me as for ownership, just because he does see the field occasionally. We've seen him have, I wouldn't say big games, but we've seen him be productive. The price is right and the ownership is right, so that's why I'm going to take a couple of stabs on him.
And Renfro gets red zone targets, so like I
Yeah,
mean he's considered he's a big target. I typically I'm not saying it. I mean it could still happen. Typically, Renfro and Waller are negatively correlated.
that
Like
makes
tip
sense because they both run short routes over the middle, usually from the slot. So yeah, that
right.
makes sense.
Right. I mean, they both could be in together, but typically one of them is running that type of like they're running the similar type, right? Like Ruggs is not correlated with anyone. Like Ruggs
Right.
is just gonna go fly and just he's done. And like if they're gonna throw that long, they go to him. Even Aguilar is kind of independent of other people. In the same way that like Hill and Kelsey are independent of each other. Like they're like that. But Hardman and Hill are typically negatively correlated because of the route that they run, as well as a lot of
Sure.
times Hardman's coming in to literally replace Tyreek Hill on some plays.
Yeah.
So as some people call him, it's like, oh, McCole Hardman is basically Tyreek's backup.
Yep.
Do you think he's going to be
And
overowned? I mean, he's coming in at 20% ownership, but I mean, typically the last time that this happened, right? Didn't we have a slate or maybe a short slate, a 2 game slate where like Hardman was 30% owned and like Demarcus Robinson was 5% owned, and Robinson was the one that gets there. Now it seems
yeah,
like it's
and
flipped.
yep. I was going to say Hardman is generally the one that's overowned and Robinson underowned, and I've had a lot of success on showdown slates in the past playing Robinson over Hardman. But according to our ownership, it seems like they believe people have figured that out now. So if Robinson's going to be over Hardman, I prefer to play Hardman. I want the one that's lower owned, basically.
Right. because they're about the same projection
Yeah.
wise. Uh, how about Hardman and the Chiefs defense? It worked on the Bears showdown, right? The double dip,
Patterson, yeah.
right? The double dip. Who returns kicks for the Raiders? These are the types of things on
Uh,
regular slates I don't even care about.
I think it's generally Richard, but if he's inactive, maybe it's Booker,
Yeah,
or is
who?
it
Yeah, who?
some?
Yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, maybe I care more about the punt returns than the kickoff returns.
Yeah,
Let's take a look.
I
I'm
I
gonna
can look it
Google
up.
search that. We almost have to look for a depth chart because
Yeah, that's
whoever
exactly what I was searching. Yeah.
Renfro, does Renfro return
According to
punts?
ESPN, their punt. Yeah, that's Renfro and Ruggs. It looks like have handled it.
Okay, I mean we see yes. I'm seeing kick return Richard Ruggs, Keyshawn Nixon. I don't even know who that is. Punt returns
Yeah.
Renfro. So basically Renfro, Ruggs, those either of them. I mean, obviously Ruggs has more speed. Like Renfro, how is he beating? How is Renfro going to beat the entire punt coverage? I guess they use him because he has good hands,
Yeah,
right? I'm just saying I don't consider
I don't see
Renfro's
him
one of the
taking it to the
slowest
house.
players in the league.
Right.
Or maybe some people are saying it's Zay Jones. Maybe it's Zay Jones. Maybe we played Zay Jones. I last Raiders showdown. I think I played Zay Jones. He got a touchdown. Didn't help me, but whatever. It could get there. The problem with the cheap guys is that if it's a high enough scoring slate, like sometimes like the first touch, Zay Jones will get the first touchdown, and everyone's victory lapping of having like
And
the
then that's
one.
all he does.
Right, that's all he does. He has a 6 yard touchdown. He's sitting there with 7.6 points, and he doesn't even end up in the winning GPP lineup. Like we see that with Taysom Hill for the Saints sometimes. Oh, he get what? Oh, it's a Taysom slate, and he's not even in the optimal. So like yeah, I guess you could play Zay. I mean, you could, but I mean, I don't know what lineups you'd build around that. So, but I mean, it's still worth taking a shot. Hey, he's going to be less than 1% owned. I can't blame you for taking a shot in a large field contest. I can't blame Ryan Edwards. Feel free to do that if you want, but yeah, I guess the double dip for the Raiders would be Ruggs or Renfro and the Raiders defense.
Yep.
Or Keith, listen, we
Uh-oh.
could do the double dip.
Double
The
double.
double dip. You play both defenses. Okay. You play the Raiders defense and the
Okay.
Chiefs defense. Hardman and Ruggs. You have plenty of money left, and you could probably play Hill and the captain, right? Or you could play. I'm interested. It's not. It just.
Well,
I don't think I'm going to play this type of lineup because I totally.
I can tell you one thing. I think you'll reach your goal of being unique.
Right. Let's do that. Let's put this on the screen. Can we do this? Can we do the double dip? Can we double? Okay, Hill and the captain, and we got Mahomes in the flex. So we got 50. We have 5,000 left. Yeah, we could do this easily, right? Because we need Hardman, Ruggs, Chiefs defense, and we have plenty of money for Raider. Yeah, we've all the money in the world to do this. We could even put now I know this is what you do with the Mahomes captain lineup. You put Mahomes in the captain. You put Kelsey because Hardman and Hill are kind of negatively correlated, so you're going to play Kelsey, and you still have 7,100 left. So you still play hard, and you leave money on the table. I mean, I'm not making this lineup, but I just wanted to see you could do the double dip because everyone talks about the double dip. No one talks about the double dip. So I just want to make sure to get that in. If you got questions in the chat, feel free to post them here on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Just don't hit the X on the little corner of your window because that closes everything. New York Jets asked, did I end up playing Mac Hollins? Did Mac Hollins score a touchdown or something? This is the same guy that asked me to play Jeremy Sprinkle every week, so that doesn't mean anything. I don't know what
Is
happened
Matt
at the end of the
Hollins?
games. I don't know. The Cowboys won, right?
I didn't see the end of it either.
Okay, someone said the Cowboys won. Taff asks, what's our take on Nick Kaiser? Is there a take on Nick Kaiser?
He has how many catches all year?
4?
3, 4. Yeah.
Something?
um, if you want to sprinkle him in to hope that he gets his first career touchdown, sure.
Right.
But I mean, he's not more than anyone I'd play over to 10% at the very most.
Right.
But he's one of those cheap guys that if he scores, you want him.
Right, I probably wouldn't play Kaiser and Kelsey together.
right?
Right, typically a tight end route would be the Kelsey route, and I mean, it's a showdown. You could play them all. Play all the tight ends together. Play an entire tight end lineup. You're gonna play Waller. You're gonna play Kelsey. You're gonna play Witten, Kaiser, Moreau, and Dean Yelder. Is he gonna get in the game? Just play all the tight ends, and just hopefully you get 6 1-yard touchdowns.
I'd play Kaiser before I'd play Yelder. How's that?
Oh, okay, that's an upgrade. Okay, okay. That is a proper Nick Kaiser take. You would play him over Dion Yelder.
I would.
DFS Bub asks, is Carr a better cash game play than Jacobs? A quarterback typically is, because he's touching the ball all the time, so you're gonna guarantee to get the passing yards.
If the Raiders were favored, maybe that would be different. But definitely, when the team is in an underdog situation, then definitely the quarterback.
Is Pringle a unique enough punt?
Unique
I guess
enough,
so. Yeah, he's coming in at projected 4% owned. So yeah, I guess that's unique enough. You're playing the 5th wide receiver on a team, but
yeah. If I'm going into that range, Pringle's probably the one I would lean to. I mean, if you want something under 1,000, I mean, we've seen him. I mean, if Tyreek pulls up a little bit lame, Pringle goes out there and catches, I don't know, catches a long one. I could see that happening.
Would your take on Byron Pringle be that at least he's better than Nick Kaiser?
All right, now we're on to something.
Right now, because Nick
so
Kaiser, it's like
the $200 guy.
Right, it's better than Dion Yelder. It's like okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your Pringle take? Your Pringle take is that he's probably better than Nick Kaiser, right? I mean, right? It's something, and you could probably say the same thing for the Raiders, because it's like, should I play Zay Jones? It's like, well, I mean, he's probably better than Alec Ingold. And then you're like, should I play Brian Edwards? It's like, well, he's probably better than Zay Jones. So I mean, like you could do that for the Raiders as well.
Yep.
Emilio Ornelas asks, thoughts on going both quarterbacks? It's obviously going to be, I mean, that's typically popular builds.
Yeah. It's going to limit what the other things you can do. But like we talked about it, there's some tough decisions you're going to have to make. Because there's a lot of expensive guys you want. I mean, if you want Hill and Kelsey, you probably have to fade Carr.
NY Jets 1250 says you get the entire Raiders running game if you play Booker and Jacobs in the same lineup. My problem with that is that's a lineup where the Raiders win the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? I mean, if they're both going to get there and they rush the ball, let's say 32 times, like you have to assume the Raiders are leading. If they're down by 2 touchdowns, how does Booker and Jacobs both get there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could play the script would be that Jacobs scores early, and then the Chiefs come and score 3 touchdowns, and the Raiders are chasing them, and Booker catches a lot of dump offs.
And that's reaching a bit. I mean,
Reaching.
yeah, you can make a case. It could also be a low scoring game.
Yeah.
Right, like a low scoring game where like Carr doesn't even throw a touchdown pass. But I mean, understand this game has a 52 total, so I mean.
Right.
Like its median outcome is high scoring. But of course that also means the ownership goes there. More people are going to build lineups that are for high scoring slates, and sometimes if you want a shot at $300,000 or whatever on DraftKings tonight in the big $11 GPP, you have to build lineups with less probable outcomes, and maybe the less probable outcome is a Raiders rushing win. And Mahomes isn't even in the main lineup. I mean, like it could be a lineup with no quarterbacks in it, right? Jacobs, because I mean, like Hill, you could play instead of playing Mahomes, Keith. Let's say you play Jacobs in the captain, and Booker in the flex, and Waller, something like that. But then instead of playing Mahomes, you just play Hill and Kelsey. Just go just on volume, like they get there, 6 for 90. With a touchdown. Mahomes still throws 2 touchdowns, but he only throws 240 yards. So for 13.4K, he doesn't make value, and Jacobs has, 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't sound impressed.
No, I'll have Mahomes in pretty much every lineup.
Okay. But we see that's the best leverage you could get. I mean, Look at the slate with the Vikings. You didn't play Dalvin Cook. There you go. You eliminate all those lineups, right? He wasn't
Yeah.
in the optimal. So I mean, if you want to play a lineup without Mahomes, that will be unique. I mean,
For sure.
he's projected for 76% ownership, and probably
Yeah.
and plus about 10 to 12 in the captain. So like we're talking about a grand total of nearly 90% ownership. I'm not saying that Mahomes is going to like die. It's just that maybe he only has an average game and it doesn't pay off 13.4K. I'm not convincing you. You're still playing 100% Mahomes.
I am. Yeah. He's
Okay.
13K. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to see 90% total ownership. I could get on board with maybe 50% in the flex and 20% in the captain for 70 total, but he's expensive, and it forces you to make some tough decisions. So,
But
I,
between Hill and Kelsey, are you siding more with Hill or more with Kelsey?
so I was on Kelsey for earlier in the day, and then the Slate IQ when Slate IQ came out and showed that the heavy preference for wide receiver one, then I kind of evened out my exposure. So I'm about equal on each of them, but
Right,
I
because
was heavier on Kelsey before.
technically the Slate IQ analysis goes by price. So like that's why you look at the Raiders and
And
go
DraftKings position.
right and DraftKings position.
Hmm.
So because a lot of people would say that for the Raiders, Waller is the top receiver.
Right.
But according to Slate IQ, based on it doesn't care.
It's
It's
not.
looking at his
Right.
TA1. So
Correct.
technically, the wide receiver one for the Raiders is Nelson Aguilar
Yes.
because he's the highest priced wide receiver for the Raiders. Do you got some Nelson Aguilar captains?
I don't know.
Yo, how do you
I,
not? How do you not have it? You just
I
you
do
just
have some Waller captains.
but you just mentioned Slate IQ. It's like, well, I got to play some more Tyreek Hill because of Slate
Well,
IQ. And then it's
I
like, no,
don't.
you can't even the sprinkles. You can't even sprinkle 2 or 3 Nelson Aguilar lineups.
Not worth the sprinkle for me. I'm pretty convinced the Chiefs are going to win, so I'd rather sprinkle Kelsey and go against Slate IQ.
Okay, well, I'm building line. I'm only playing a couple of lineups tonight. The days I do shows, I don't build like 50 lineups and try to do that in all my groups and everything in 15 minutes. So I'm playing 6 lineups. I will have a Nelson Aguilar captain lineup. Feel free, everyone, feel free to split my $11 as evenly as you want to. But because I mean, his ownership in general, we have him projected for 16.8% owned. He's the lowest owned player above the Chief defense. I mean, of the, between Carr and CEH and Waller and Kelsey and all those guys, like Ruggs is twice as owned as Aguilar, which rightfully so, he should be. But
Yep.
I mean, how many times has Nelson Aguilar trolled us for Eagle Showdown slates?
Yeah.
I'm playing for I'm playing when everyone with Waller is tilted on Twitter because
You're the
Nelson
one
Aguilar
celebrating.
scored a 47-yard touchdown because it was busted coverage because it wasn't because the fact that he caught it is celebration, right?
Yeah.
Right? The fact that he caught a
Yeah.
pass and it didn't bounce off his hands.
Yep.
Well, everyone's tilted when he finally catches some passes. I'll have him in one captain lineup, and of course, I'll probably have some dud in there, and it's gonna not even end up cashing. Or I'm gonna have Aguilar in the captain and find out that's duplicated 74 times. And once the Aguilar captain lineup is duplicated 74 times, then maybe it's time to quit playing Showdown because it's like, well, I don't think you could possibly get unique anymore.
Yeah. I think you're safe on the Aguilar captains.
Ben in chat asks, CH has an illness designation. Does that make Bell a better play? Do we care about illnesses earlier in the week?
No, I don't care about illnesses. I like Bell because of his price. Has nothing to do with CEH illness.
Right. It's just that if you think that the split is going to be 70-30, CH is 8,200 and Bell is 1,400.
Yeah.
Like, that's just by price. That's more than a 2.5 to 1 difference in price. So if you value the touches the same, really Le'Veon Bell is the better play. In the same way with Jacobs and Devontae Booker. Like, Jacobs is more than 4 times the price of Devontae Booker. So, like, do you think it's going to be an 80-20? If you think it's 80-20, then play Jacobs, 80-20 or more. then play Jacobs. Just like with CEH and Bell. I mean, Bell is 6 times, right? About 6 times less owned. Well, it's less priced.
Yeah.
Do you think it's gonna? Do you think CEH is gonna get 84% of the work?
No chance.
No. So then there you go. So that it has nothing to do with an illness. It more has to do with just math.
Yep. And I mean, he practiced in full on Friday, and he was cleared to play. So
So he's good.
that went out the window 2 days ago. But
Right,
that
right.
doesn't mean that I'm playing him.
Right, especially when it's an illness. When it's not like some type of muscle injury. It's like, oh, he has a cold or a bellyache or something. Like,
Yeah.
what does it matter? Okay, so we're gonna get out of here. Time to build lineups for what's 8:20. I always need to look, Keith. It's 8:20. Because sometimes it's 8:15, 8:20, and oh, and Keith is gone. Keith decided to just get the hell out of here. Let's see if we can get him back to at least say goodbye. His internet went out. I guess the Nelson Aguilar captain. I guess it spooked him. Okay, so we're gonna get out of here. Okay, obviously his internet went out or something. So center myself. I'm producing the show, so I have to take care of everything. So now that Keith is gone, we could talk about him. All right, do you want to talk about Keith? No, we're gonna get out of here. So for Keith Eister, you can follow me Eyes819 DFS. You can follow me Blender HD on Twitter. If you're not in my contests, like good luck on Showdown. And if you are, if I'm gonna split with anyone on Showdown, I hope it's one of you on YouTube. So that has been Sunday Showdown Live here on Rotogrinders.com.